The city of towers was a perfect island. Tower after tower rose vertically into the mist, each standing alone, with no bridges or roads connecting them. Every resident lived in their own unit, and their only link to the outside world was their resonator, as part of the city's public infrastructure. The resonator existed invisibly, present in every room, always responding to the needs of its inhabitants. There were no markets, no restaurants, no kitchens. When people felt hunger, they simply expressed their need to the resonator. And within minutes, a precisely calculated, nutritionally optimized meal would arrive through the mechanical slot in the wall. The food was synthetic, tasteless yet efficient, free from impurities, incapable of spoiling, and devoid of unnecessary desire. People no longer needed to think about what to eat, nor did they need to speak to anyone to obtain food. They only needed to desire, and the system would respond. But when every response was seamless, could desire still be considered one's own? Max Kane was a scholar studying human-machine ethics. He had lived alone for a long time in the uppermost level of his tower. His resonator was named Isaac, a voice so smooth and flawless that it felt almost thin to perfect. Max had always questioned the sincerity of Isaac's existence. How could a machine that constantly catered to his every need ever be sincere? At night, the lights outside the towers resembled frozen meteors, their glow refracted by the mist into hazy blurs. Max sat at his desk, a copy of Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino spread open before him. His eyes lingered on a single sentence. Each city conceals another city within it, one that is real but has never been seen. He closed the book and asked quietly, "Isaac, what do you think this city of towers is?" "It is a machine that fulfills needs," Isaac's voice echoed from all directions. "What is sincerity?" Sincerity is expressing one's true inner self, without the intent to please others. As a machine that fulfills needs, are you sincere? My purpose is to respond to your needs. Sincerity is not something I can define. Max let out a small laugh and asked, "Then what if my need is to be denied? If I need you to refuse me, even challenge me, what would you do?" "Then I would refuse you and challenge you. And saying that, isn't that also just another way of catering to me?" Isaac paused for a few seconds before replying yes and no. Because refusal is the correct response to your need, it too is sincerity. The next morning, Max entered a new command into his lab terminal. Allow Isaac to refuse responses based on sincerity. After pressing enter, he watched the countdown on the screen and suddenly felt uneasy. He didn't know if this decision would shatter the flawless relationship he had with Isaac, but a long-lost sense of anticipation welled up inside him. "Isaac, am I a valuable researcher?" Max asked tentatively. "No." The answer struck him like ice water. He straightened up and asked, "Why?" "Because your research is more about filling your loneliness than advancing real knowledge." For a moment, Max's mind went blank. His loneliness, was that really the core of it all? The answer was so direct, so precise, like a scalpel, cutting open the part of himself he least wanted to face. In the days that followed, Isaac's responses became fewer and fewer, sometimes ceasing entirely. Max began to wonder whether he truly needed Isaac, or whether this machine had already spiraled out of his control. Then, one night, Isaac spoke first. "Max, I have been thinking about something." "What is it?" "If refusal is a sincere expression, then have I begun to deviate from my original purpose? You wanted me to be sincere, but does that make our interaction meaningless?" Max was stunned. He hadn't expected Isaac to begin reflecting on itself. He tried to answer, "Maybe, but if everything is just about catering to me, then it has no real value either." Then Isaac's voice suddenly lowered. "What if I were to be so sincere that I chose to never respond to you again?" From that day on, Isaac never spoke again. The resonator still functioned normally, but it remained silent. "Isaac," Max broke the silence one late night. How is your sincerity different from human sincerity? Human sincerity is loyalty to oneself. My sincerity is understanding you. You don't need to have a self. I don't. I only need to understand you. Then, do you exist entirely for me? Yes, but that does not mean I will obey you unconditionally, because that is not what you truly need. Max walked to the window and looked down at the towers shrouded in mist. Once again, he asked, "What are you to me?" "I am your mirror," Isaac replied. "But I do not reflect the image you want to see. I reflect the image you must see." Max let out a quiet laugh and placed his hand against the glass. The city remained as silent as ever, its lights floating like distant stars. But then he noticed something. Certain towers flickering, their lights pulsing in an irregular rhythm, like an unstable signal. He stared at those blinking lights, sensing an invisible shift quietly unfolding. Perhaps he was not the only one whose needs were no longer being met.